Hi everyone, this is Suzanne Wagner. Thank you so much for joining me. I am doing the numerology and the astrology for today, which is May 3rd, 2021. If you add all those numbers together, you get the number 13, and if you add the 1 and the 3 together, you get the number 4. The number 4 is the number of neutral mind. It's a very high vibration because being neutral allows you to be objective and allows you to look at things with discernment rather than the human emotional attachments to our history and our past and our wounding. And I think more and more that becomes even more important these days, that we learn to look at things from a more natural or neutral place. So, how do we look at the balance in nature and life and then attempt to align ourselves with that energy in harmonious ways that support life and merge with it in ways that allow us to never feel separate again? If this pandemic has taught me anything, it was that we are not separate, nor do we want to be separate. Being alone for some has been tremendously difficult. For others, it was the aloneness that allowed them to restructure their priorities in ways that they previously would not have figured out. What we now know is that all life is interconnected. None of us can do this without the other. None of us want to do it alone. That means that we have to learn to work together. Patterns of relationship have radically altered. Those who never wanted to get married and those who never wanted a committed relationship finally understand that they don't want to be alone for the rest of their lives. They want someone to share that life with. But that will require a significant shift to make that happen in our world. And it is happening. We finally realize that cultivating global harmony, the number 4, is the pathway through this pandemic and into a higher vibration that will allow humanity to grow towards a more balanced and coexisting place with all of life. I don't know what I would have done without nature over the past year plus. It was nature that told me it was all going to be okay. It was nature that told me that these cycles always eventually end. It was nature that consoled my loneliness. It was nature that held all the answers that had any real meaning. We need all of nature, all of the wide open spaces, all of the pristine wilderness, all of the hidden secret spaces and places. We need that balance more than we previously realized. And now that we have awoken, we are going to have to do something about it. The astrology today. It might feel a bit challenging to get your energy going today. The planets Saturn and Jupiter make you want to have a real weekend, but that was not this last weekend. It seemed to be a little bit more chaotic than that. There are moments that you just don't have the spunk to leap out of bed, and this may be that morning. Rushing won't help anything. Mercury goes into Gemini and it will remain there until the middle of July. This is exceptionally long, but it is when it is about to leave, it goes retrograde on May 29th through June 22nd. And it seems as if we will need that extra time to come up with those new ideas and take the time necessary to put together a more complex plan. Such a cycle is great for classes that can assist you in bringing your hidden skills to the forefront so that we can gift them to the world. It might be wise on all levels to take the necessary time to gain wisdom before we speak. There is also a square between the Sun and Saturn. Such moments require caution and care, not expansion and flair. Many commitments are coming into play, and it can seem to take some freedom away and make things a bit uncomfortable. The challenges that are presenting are to show us that we have tools we do not realize. All things point to the more practical side of life. Many issues are up and require our attention. Others do not have the answer. Others do not have the answers. It is best to look inward for those answers. All questions seem to have solutions that will require long periods of contemplation. So, go slow. Enjoy the ride. Breathe in every moment. Take in all things. There is something so special trying to be born. We are all in this together. It is important for such things to unfold naturally. Okay, my quote in my blog for today came from a dream I had last night. And in the dream, what I remember was that, if you could touch in a certain way with your energy these vibrating energies that were coming off of books, and they were either like right on the page, floating just barely above the lettering, or you could basically get an access to that dimension. And so there was an access portal through that dimension, which was kind of cool. And then I was talking to somebody and I said, I need to access that dimension, but I don't want to go the traditional way because there's something at the gateway trying to keep me out. And so I need another door. I need another doorway. And then this person basically said to me, oh, there are also passageways that are floating above the page, way above the page, like, this far off the page. And he says they're harder to find because they're not as obvious, but you can actually access it that way. And so he kind of used his hand and he pulled on a thread, and I could see the thread. And I was like, oh my gosh, there is a thread right there. And then I accessed that portal, and that's when I woke up. So my quote today and my blog today are related to that dream. So the quote today: within books are filaments of truth. Those with sight can see them illuminating the words and luring us into that world being created. Some truths seem embossed with gold lettering. Some truths float off the page. Some truths illuminate those keys within us that we're hiding. But if you have ever been lured into another world through a story, a book, or a poem, then you have heard the tone and followed the song being spun by the creativity of an author into another dimension in time. Some worlds hold us tight forever, helping us to remember something long forgotten, reminding us of where we came from, and showing us the way back to truth. And my blog for today: what if we are co-creators in this fertile world of other dimensions and times? What if our ideas ignite filaments that open doorways into other dimensions fed by our hopes, wishes, dreams, and imagination? I noticed that there are no other words in the English language equivalent to the word dimension. Do you ever wonder why that is? I wonder strange things all the time. But I believe that while we are in this reality, it becomes so all-consuming that we miss the doorways leading into other places. We are in a unique place, Earth. It is filled with millions of life forms, and this world is a treasure trove of ideas, stories, and histories that remind us of the possibilities that can exist beyond this domain. What if what brought us here was the enticement of the creative process itself? For a long time, I have believed that we are down here being baby gods. We are trying to learn how to manifest, create, and bring about in this reality and density. All stretches are the attempts of our soul to master the skills of certain levels within this dimension. Wealthy people have focused on the process of manifesting money. If we ask those who created great wealth how they did it, the answer is a straightforward equation. They know that once anyone understands that equation, then everyone could have the ability to recreate it again and again. The same is true for any superb skill or art form. Once we learn the craft mastery over a particular domain of interest, we can often shift within the spectrum of that manifestation and still be creatively successful. For instance, ballet translates well into any physical skill set: tennis, yoga, Zumba, teaching, choreography, etc. But the mental discipline of ballet has a power all its own also. It helps with meditation, spiritual growth, workshops, intuitive skills, meditation, and translating sacred tools into user-friendly forms. I believe books are doorways into other dimensions in the process of creation. Look at the life that certain stories have been given in the rapture, joy, and passion of telling that story. Tolkien created an entire language for elves that continues to be spoken by the faithful readers of his genre. The same is true with the Klingon language from Star Trek. Those Trek enthusiasts can literally speak Klingon. Does a world have more grip in a dimension if it has a language? Probably. The more people that live that storyline and make it a part of themselves, it gives energy and life to that dimension in time and can make it live forever. Clearly, Tolkien will live as long as there are humans to read his stories, but can it give birth to another dimension? I wonder. And a part of me believes it to be possible. Those movies and stories that are favorites to us are personally read and experienced again and again. Why? Because the storyline, the characters, and the truths being shared are very real, and we can interact and relate to them. The more popular something is, the more that storyline reflects a core truth important at this particular time and dimension. The bottom line is that there have to be truths shared that have significant value to humanity and our world's progression. So many want a world of equality, like those depicted on the Star Trek series and movies. And we are drawn to the ideals that such a world creates because it is so sorely lacking in our world. Such authors and creators of world call to the highest values within humanity and activate them, expanding them into a longing. Through that desire, something bigger manifests and pulls societies towards that ideal that wants to hold leaders accountable for decisions that either lead us closer to that world or away from it. We are in an incredibly creative space and time. Do you see what you are creating? What stories or movies do you see over and over again? What are you putting your energy and life force into? Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.